what's up, you guys? My name is Wolf, and welcome back to LEGO Arts. In the last episode, we did a showcase of Final Boss Xion, aka Kingdom Hearts Wave 4. Now, this time, in one of my previous episodes, I said that if I got a comment that said hashtag LEGO Bendy, I would do some more Bendy and the Ink Machine characters. And sure enough, some people commented that. And here now we have LEGO Bendy and the Ink Machine Wave 3. This time, we are showcasing the Butcher Gang, both cartoon form and monster form. So for the cartoon characters, we have Charlie, Barley, and Edgar. And for the monster forms, we have the Piper, the Fisher, and the Stryker. I won't lie, these characters were a little bit weird to make. They have now earned the honorary title as the weirdest minifigures I have ever created. They did, for obvious reasons. And as you can see in the background is the Heavenly Toys. Okay, on up the camera a little bit. See, Heavenly Toys section to represent Chapter 3. Right. So, as you guys know the whole drill, we're going to go through these minifigures one at a time. And explain the whole process of like why I chose to go with this path. And we'll go from there. And actually, before we continue on, here are two special deals. The first one is like in the second. It's like in Bendy and Ink Machine Wave 2. If I receive a comment that says hashtag LEGO Bendy, I'll go back and do some more Bendy and Ink Machine characters. And to make it a little bit easier, let me know like which characters you want to make. That way I know like which ones to make. Because at first I didn't know who I'm gonna make. But anywho, in the second offer, since the trailer for Chapter 5 of the game said that the game was going to be released on October 26th, if I receive 31 comments on any of my Bendy and Ink Machine videos, it doesn't matter which one it is, as long as it's Bendy and the Ink Machine related. If I receive 31 comments that contain the quote, "Death to the Demon," it doesn't matter what else you fill in it, as long as it has the quote, "Death to the Demon," then on Halloween night, I will do a live stream of the entire game, all 5 chapters, dressed up as Jack Skellington, and wearing the pumpkin eye patch that I made for Kingdom Hearts. And before you ask, no, it does not count if it's just one comment that has that quote 31 times. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Woo! So to start off, we're going to go through the cartoon forms of the Butcher Gang, starting off with Charlie. I think out of all the cartoon Butcher Gang guys, this one was the easiest to make. There wasn't really a whole lot of difficulty of going through this guy. The only, sculpting I had to do was for the headpiece. As you can see, he's got his suit. He's got a suit painted on, nothing painted on the back. His head, it did take a little trial and error to get, the facial stuff. But in the end, I finally managed to get, the eyes correct. They're not exactly, how I wanted them to come out, but I guess that's okay. And, he's got his nose, his mouth, and, his beard underneath. A little detailing on his ears, and on the back of his head, he's got, his hair. It was a little difficult of finding, the right photo to work this off, because for the Butcher Gang thing, the only, photo of the cartoon forms that's really out there was the posters, but luckily, I managed to work through it, and get, a solid idea of how to make this. And I chose to, make all the characters, on short legs. Here, let me grab Bendy. Here you go, Bendy. Okay, Bendy, come here, Bendy. There we go. And so, for Bendy, as you can see, he's got short legs too. I decided to make them, the same height, because they're roughly about the same height. It's if you do a little compare and contrast. So I chose to go with that. And, plus, the Butcher Gang monsters in the game look fairly short. So that's a win-win right there. So again, not really a whole lot to go on Charlie, but it was pretty fun. Fun to make this minifigure. There, the clay that I used is actually a new molding clay that I got. I forgot, what brand it is, but it's finally in that Goldilocks zone that I like. It's not too soft. It's, I can mold it easily. It dries pretty quick. So it's finally yes, I got a solid clay that I can work with. So that's good. Anyways, let's move on to the next Butcher Gang member. Next up is Barley. This one, he was a little tricky to build, but like with Charlie, not fully difficult at the same time. So as you can see, like, he's got, like, his little sailor hats. I tried to make it as good, as accurate as I could get. He's got his ears, and he's got, like, his big beard. I definitely wanted to make the beard three-dimensional. Okay, Harold, can we refocus? Thank you, Harold. One of the things that I wanted to do was definitely add, like, some 3D elements to it. And since I almost considered doing a 3D pipe, but at the same time, it was like, it'll probably look weird. So I'll just scrap that. And I just used a standard Lego minifigure head as, like, a base to, like, fully put on the head. I chose to go with that instead of, like, trying to come up with a completely new head entirely, which works out a lot better. He's got, like, his eye patch. It didn't come out right, and his eye didn't it's not fully the way I wanted it, but it's about close enough as I could get to it. You can't tell underneath because it's the beard, and I can't remove the head because it's glued on, but he's got, like his belt and, the shoulder arm, and the shoulder things. There's things like the straps. No detailing on the back, because there wasn't any photos of him, and not even some fan arts to, like, fully figure out, like, ooh, how would I do this? But in general, I got this as close to as I can get it, and again, I put on the short legs, and in general, this minifigure turned out pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with it. And it's, again, not really too difficult, but at the same time, not easy as well. Now, let's move on to the hardest Butcher Gang minifigure for the cartoon version. Okay, next up on our list is Edgar. And for obvious reasons, this was a little weird to make. Because when first looking at a picture of Edgar, I realized, like, I can't make this minifigure the way of how, like, a regular minifigure could be made. I had to think outside the box for a little bit. So, after looking a little bit at a couple of photos of Edgar, I finally figured out, like, what it is I had to do. He's the only member of the Butcher Gang that's more spider-like. Pretty interesting. So, using, like, the spare accessories that I had originally for Iron Spider-Man, I took those, super glued it onto a body, on a Lego body. I can't remember if I used a head as a base, like a Lego head as a base, and then added on, like, the rest of Edgar's head. But in general, the difficulty of this was having on the legs, and then making it for where, like, okay, lower the camera a little bit so you guys can see. No, Edgar. And then making it for where, like, he can stand up on all of those legs. It was a little difficult, but in the end, I managed to get it proper. Alright, so it took a lot of trial and error for this one. Luckily, in the end, it managed to work out. And, like, as you can see, I painted on his face. Like, I first painted on the black, then the whites. Then I took a Sharpie, did the eyes, a little bit of the mouth, and the teeth. I almost had the idea of, like, making the mouth more three-dimensional, but I think that would have added too much weight onto the head to make it completely unbalanced, and I had to balance everything out. Yeah, so it was also a little hard of, like, applying on the paint for the legs, and making sure that they don't get stuck onto anything. I almost had to put a base on this. Like, I almost had to glue on a base, but luckily, it didn't come to that, and in the end, things worked out pretty well. Oh well. So, I don't know if anybody has ever attempted to make, like, this kind of minifigure for Edgar, but I definitely wanted to make it more unique. And this was, like, the results, and I think this worked out pretty well in the end. This was pretty interesting to make. Now then, let's move on to the weirdest minifigures I've ever created. Before I continue on, I have to point out that it's a good thing in the actual game he already looks like this. Because otherwise, when someone would look at this, they'd think, like, what the hell did you build? And that's exactly, like, what I'm thinking. So first off is the Piper, member for the Monster Butcher Gang. As you can see, like, his torso is painted on as well. That was the easy part. Sculpting the head, that was also easy. The hardest was his legs. Thanks. Because I'm kind of at a shortage of short legs at the moment, and I didn't want to risk, like, damaging it already. So what I did was, I took, like a leg piece and a waist piece that I found I was missing one of his legs. I think I used it for another project. I then did a lot of trial and error to make, like, a peg leg. And when I finally got it, and unfortunately, it's not fully accurate. He can't stand up straight. and up straight, unfortunately. And as you can see, like, the leg, I modified the leg to make it short to about the size of a regular short leg, but unfortunately, it didn't work out very well. He's got like a makeshift pipe here. No detailing really on the back, except painting on the ears. The face, it was also a little bit weird. He's like missing one eye, and then like he's got an X on his other eye. So I drew a dot, added on the ink, crossed out the X, and then added in like his jaw that opens up like. Then the arm, as you can see, like he has no hand, and I had to look at that a couple of times. Like, does he have a hand? And it turns out no, he's missing a hand. And this might be a minor detail, but if you notice the yellow's a bit different, it's because it is. Here, let me grab ink Bendy, and I'll do another little comparison. Like, if you see the yellows in between, the yellows are different. I was trying out a new yellow color to sort of, like, see how that would work out. And I think I'll actually use this yellow as sort of, like, characters for more minor characters. Since the Butcher game is more of a minor enemy, really. And for the darker yellow, I'll keep it up for, like, some of the more important characters. In general, this was weird, and, I don't know if I'll ever do another one like this again, but this is just number 1. Wait until we get to the other ones. Speaking of which, let's move on to the next, weird minifigure thing. I don't know. And next up on our list is the Fisher, the monster counterpart to Barley. This was another weird one to do. The body was easy, but when looking at a couple of photos of this figure, of, like, this character in general, I added on the clay of, like, the back, and then, like, the long stick to represent the fishing rod. The hard part was gluing on a string piece that would connect, like, to both the head and up here. I think that some people might just do, like, a solid rod on here, but I wanted to make it for where, like, he can actually spin the head. That way when he walks around, just... He has liar written on there. I tried to make it as close as I could get to it. He's also carrying, like, his wrench. I just took some, like, claw pieces and then glued them on the hand. And that way he would hold on to it. And plus, I don't think he ever lets go of this thing. Okay, now, stabilizing his head for a little bit. The face was a little bit hard to do. So was the mouth. I tried to make it as close as I could of the weird jaw that he has. He has a regular pipe for his nose. So I did, like, 2 different Sharpies. I first did a regular Sharpie to draw the base of the eye. Then I took a paintbrush, did the color of the eye, and then I took a very small Sharpie pen, and then drew the X in. And on his other eye, it's just blank, and then he's got, like, barnacles growing on the side of his face, which I didn't realize that until, like, I was almost done with the figure, and I was like, oh, shoot, I gotta fix that. Which was pretty hard to do. Like, it was hard to like, put the barnacles on the face, then glue them on, wait for the glue to dry, then paint it on. So, in general, a lot more trial and error for this figure. Luckily, though, it was not nearly as hard as Piper. One thing about it, this was the easiest out of all of them. But he still keeps up that level of weirdness in general. But other than that, it was pretty easy to make. He's got, like, of course, the short legs, and aside from that, that's it. I'm pretty satisfied with the minifigure. And at least unlike the other two, he can actually move. I forgot to mention that for Piper, he can't really move his arms or legs. He can't move his legs, but he can still move his arms, and sort of move his head. At least that's a bonus. Now then, let's move on to our last minifigure. And our last minifigure is, of course, the Stryker. Pretty much the one minifigure out of all of them who can't move anything. And plus, this one, definitely, I didn't make it as a regular minifigure. Doing, like, the main part of his head was kind of easy. Of course, like, I got the face here, stitched up mouth, the weird-looking eyeball, and of course, like, his teeth on top of his head. I'm not sure why that is. Like, why are his teeth on his head? Actually, it's Bendy in the English. Why am I asking, like, why is it weird? Weird. Of course, he's got, like, part of the side panels represent, like, his original head. And, of course, growing barnacles on them. Nothing really on the back, except for, like, the rest of the mouth. The arms, I thought, like, the arms were looking pretty long. And I had, like, a couple of spare parts. I had, like, Zerg, like a spare Zerg that I wasn't using it for anything. So I took those arms, first superglued them together, then superglued them onto the body. I just chose to go ahead to do that rather than, like, see if I could attempt to modify a body where two arms could go on without adding, like, one of those unique Lego pieces. You know, the pieces, like, they use in Ninjago for, like, a minifigure can have 4 arms. Or arms. I wanted the Stryker to be the same size as the rest of the Butcher gang. That way it doesn't look weird, it doesn't look inaccurate. And I chose to go with this. Plus, in general, I don't think he really moves his arms that much. And, of course, like, as you can see, he's got, like, his one-arm punch thing to represent the Stryker. Originally, this piece had, like, had, like, a claw hand, but then, and I took that claw and used it for the rest of the Fisher's pipe. The Fisher's wrench, not pipe. I took, like, one of those sword holder pieces, or rod holder, and glued it on instead, and it came out pretty well, so that way he could full strike. Not really that much painting on the body. Of course, all I had to do was just, like, paint on this. I think it's supposed to be a belt loop, or something. And, again, not really a whole lot to go on. I think this was one of the first ones to get done. Like, this was the first one I thought, like, ooh, how will I do this? And if... I don't know if this is, like, the first minifigure that anybody has ever, like that, like, what the heck? I imagine that LEGO won't be even selling, like, these kinds of minifigures. Because if it can't move, how else are you supposed to use it? But in general, it worked out pretty well, and it worked out pretty good, and in the end, came out pretty well. Now then, before we wrap this video up, let's take a look at the background. So, welcome to the Heavenly Toys background that I used for Chapter 3. Of course, like, there's the Bendy cutout there. We got a couple of posters. There's Sire, and Screen Raid from Alice Angel's second poster, the Butcher Gang poster, Hell's Kitchen, and Hellfire Fire, and Hell and a Hand Basket. And baskets, as you can see, like, the Heavenly Toys Tower Station, I tried to get it as close as it is, like, in the game, but of course I had to make some modifications. The ink flowing in is just some Sharpie. I put it in the back. And in there, the front, it represents of, like, some of the tasks that you have to do. So, like, here is where you need to use the plunger, and I guess this would be, like, the power station. On the other side is where you get, like, a gear piece, dreams come true, and, of course, like, the power button. Power button, as seen often in the game. Okay, let me fix this. Little miracle station. And over here on the table is an animatronic Bendy. I honestly didn't know if I was gonna, like show this to you guys. Or wait for a little bit. Okay, can we refocus, Harold? Then that's about close as we can get to it. But in general, like this thing, it was a little bit weird to make. I just wanted to make it for the fun of it. But I took, like, a battle droid body, modified the arms, like, to represent, like, the missing hands, then cut off its head and put on a regular head. It's first did underneath of the head, then added in the mask. His legs, I only added a little clay, not too much, but enough to make it fully add to the minifigure. Well, this isn't really even a minifigure, he's more of, like, a stand-in prop. Of course, he's got, like, the little miracle station. This was actually used for Christmas last year of the ornament. Like, as you can see, like, on the inside, there's Bendy, and there's, like, where you would stick a light. And, I'll actually show you guys, like, some of the weapons that I've done. So, like, with the axe, like, here we have the gent pipe, but, like, with the axe, there was a couple of prototypes. So, like, here was prototype gent pipe. As you can see, completely made out of clay and utterly useless. A minifigure can't really grab a hold of that and keep a hold in. it can actually hold on to this thing, because it's a regular rod. Then over here, we have a wrench. And we actually have a wrench. I actually didn't know I had this thing until I was, like, going through my Lego bin, and I found this. I had this, like, years and years and years ago. During, like, the early days of Lego minifigures, and it was like, oh, I forgot I had this. This is perfect. And much better than the prototype wrench. And this one is more like a wrench. I don't think they make this kind of piece anymore, but I was lucky enough to have it. We also have, whoa, get out of the way, hen. We also have the prototype, the syringe. This was originally a rod piece. I don't know, like, what kind of a rod it was, but I cut it off a little bit, sand it down to, like, have the tip of it, a little compare and contrast with the other syringe. A lot better. And this one, a minifigure can actually grab a hold of. I just took a lightsaber handle piece that I wasn't using, painted the end of it yellow, added in, like, the ink stuff, and boom. Now the doctor can put on the syringe. While we're here, here's the plunger. I'll show the prototype plunger. It's got a better rod, but, the head, not so much. That's of, like, the plunger bits. Yeah, this one is actually more plunger-like. It was a little hard to make in general, but in the end, this came out pretty good. Now, to go on to, since we already showcased the axe, I don't need to show that, but let's show, like, the main, like, the hardest one to make, the Tommy gun. This one, and it's definitely an improvement compared to the original prototype that I used. Look at this thing. This is bad. This is, like, full-on bad. It's just like, go away, get out of here. This thing, was a little hard to make, because it involved, like, measurements, and having to put on, like, some glue, making sure that this whole thing could connect in general. I took, this gun originally belonged to my Joker minifigure, but I gave him a different pistol, put it on, like, a pistol piece that I think I was using for the armored Batman weapon, added in a rod, to, like, super glue onto the end of it to really add the long effect for the Tommy gun. Then added in some clay for the background of, like, the support pieces, I think is what it's called. And then in the end, and I managed to get this thing up. No, get back up here. There, I got it all, like, up and running again. And this is, like, one of my favorite, like custom weapons to have created. I really like it. It's pretty amazing. And at least this way, I can still get the Tommy gun from Bendy the Ink Machine. Okay then, now let's wrap this video up. And that does it for this episode of LEGO Arts. I won't lie, this was the weirdest one I've ever done on the channel so far. And who knows, I might do some more minifigures like this. And again, back with the offers. If you guys want to see more Bendy and the Ink Machine minifigures, comment hashtag LEGO Bendy. And feel free to, like, let me know, like, what minifigure you want to see. And I'll see what I can do. And for the second offer, the deadline for it is October 30th. So, if you guys want to see me do a live stream on Halloween nights dressed up as Jack Skellington, wearing the pumpkin eye patch, then give 31 comments on any of my Bendy and Ink Machine videos. Ink Machine related videos. So, that's our deadline, and I'll honestly be surprised if we manage to reach it in time. And for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, hit that like button, comment below what you think, share this to your friends, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Twitch. And here's a howl for the road. Ow! Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. What do you guys, Moon Rises?